Hello, hello. I hope that you are all doing well. I know I look different in a different space, and I'm sorry there was no video on Wednesday. Today I'm going to talk about something that's quite controversial, and I think everyone has heard of at this point. And I think what people haven't heard about are the negative aspects of it. Ozempic has taken over the media world. We've all seen it on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and everyone's like, right here, this is the cure-all, this is the thing, it's going to make you lose weight, it's going to make you fit in, everybody's doing it, it's safe, it's fun. We've all heard of it. That once-a-week injection that is going to make your life better. My doctor brought up Ozempic to me because I actually am diabetic. It's used as a diabetic medication, but people also use it off-label to control their weight. I'm one of those people who didn't find weight loss in Ozempic, but I did see it helping me see food a different way. I started Ozempic last year, kind of before it had really blown up all over the place. And now it seems like people will do anything to get their hands on it. Before I started it, a friend had told me about it. I had seen her probably 2 months ahead of time, and she's like, yeah, like it's really helping me, my eating is great, I'm losing all this weight, everything is better. So, months later when I got my prescription, I ran into her. And I said, hey, I ended up getting prescribed Ozempic. And she looked at me and she just said, ooh, don't take it. And I was like, no, what I'm going to do is it's going to help me control my blood sugar, and it's going to help me relearn how to eat and how I look at food. And I had this big expectation of it in my mind. And she said to me, I felt that way for a while too, but then I was going to literally unsubscribe from life. And I really didn't take that to heart. And I started the medication, and to start it was great. My sugars were controlled. I was feeling better. I really didn't lose any weight, but I found myself it was easier to make better decisions and to not binge eat the way that I did. A couple months ago, probably 2 months ago, everything started to change. I had tried to go up from my dose I was trying to go from 0.5 to 1 milligram. The weight loss dose is usually around 1 milligram to 2 milligram. That's what they doctors say. But it can happen at any of the doses. You start at 2.5, you do that for a couple weeks, you raise up to 5, and you raise up to 1 milligram. You just kind of get your way there. This 1 week, I decided to go from 0.5 to 0.75. About 2 weeks before I started to do that change, I had changed. I'm someone who has gone through a lot of things in my life, a lot of darker things. And I do suffer with a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of depression, but I am a very headstrong person, and I know I'm very capable of taking myself, and that I don't suffer the way that other people do, and for that I am soulfully thankful forever. But something changed, and I was finding myself having actual panic attacks that I hadn't had since I was a teenager.
Do you think that has to do with the gut-brain axis at all?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, there's no separation there.
Remember I told you when the doctor came on the podcast, I was like, oh, these people died in London. And she was like, what? And it said suicide or something like that.
Suicidal ideations. They have shown there's a correlation there with mental health.
Yeah.
My sugars were great, everything was good, I wasn't sick, it wasn't an outside influence, it wasn't other medications, and I hadn't really chalked up to the fact that it was Ozempic. It started with these little panic attacks out of nowhere. I'd be in public and I would just feel the highest level of doom that I can explain. Life ending, oh my gosh, I need to run and jump off the highest thing that I can feeling. That would last for a few seconds. So I decided to go to Virginia. I was like, okay, I just need to show myself that I'm fine. I need to just get over this. This isn't a thing. So I went to Virginia, and, the same thing kind of happened, but I came back and it was time to up my dose. I'd spoken to a doctor and they're like, yes, let's slowly take it up. So I decided to do 0.75.
The doctor said to take it up after she's having all these thoughts?
Well, we don't know if she shared these suicidal ideations and the panic
That's
attacks
so
with her doctor.
stupid.
Well, I mean, a medical doctor isn't going to be able to comment on the psychological impact of a medication per se, because their field of a specialty.
I don't know. I think this is sus. I mean, I think all doctors who prescribe Ozempic are sus. So.
Listen, they want to help, and this is the only way they can help. So for them, they feel like it's a good thing to do.
Let's see.
That week that I did 0.75, I don't know how I made it out. With Ozempic, you do get, tummy upset. You're not hungry, you're kind of nauseous, you're either constipated, or you're going to the washroom all the time. And these are things that I already dealt with in my own life. But this symptom, no matter how much I Googled, I really couldn't find. So, it's not that. But this week, I was not me. I found myself walking out of complete conversations into the bathroom where I would hyperventilate, shake on the ground, throw up, cry in the shower, but have a rational thought, knowing that this isn't me and this isn't what I could feel like. And usually I could pull myself out of this feeling or out of this situation, but I couldn't, and that's what scared me. And it was the thoughts that I were having that didn't feel like they were my own. So I tried going down the next week, but the feeling really didn't go away, and I hadn't educated myself on the fact that, I think it's pronounced semaglutide or whatever the hormone is in there, it takes a while to leave your body. So I went down to 0.5, nothing changed. I'm like, okay, it definitely can't be that. So the next week I went back up, and things got worse. I'm someone who's always had real good control over how I feel and what's going on, and how I deal with situations. I started joining all of these Facebook groups that spoke on Ozempic, some for people who took it for weight loss. I joined some groups of people who took it for diabetes, some people who took it for all these different things, because I wanted to make sure that before I figured out what this was, and definitely before I spoke to you guys, because I know making this video is going to be controversial, and those comments are going to be full of people saying I was perfectly fine, and for that, oh, I am so happy for you. But what I have found over this past months of research has really scared me and really blown my mind. I've reached out to people around me who I knew around it. I'm, in LA, it's something that people really want and people are doing anything to get. And I've spoken to a lot of people, and I'm coming to you with an educated conversation here. The amount of people who are like, yeah, I've never had an anxiety issue in my life, and then I ended up in the hospital. Or people who took off, who are off it now because they were the happiest, most go-lucky people in the world, and they couldn't function as human beings. And now I'm starting to read that if you've had issues with mental health, that this can be something to stay away from, and then people try to blame it on, oh, your sugars are high and your sugars are low. But no.
And the amount of people who don't have the real systems, like they don't go to a doctor, they just go on a Zoom call and can just take the drug so easy. That's a big fraction of people. Super big fraction.
So it sounds like it's hijacking your system and turning you into a different person and putting thoughts in your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't Ozempic supposed to be ending blame and shame?
Yeah.
And here I'm hearing that it actually causes more because if you have suicidal ideations, they're blaming your sugar on that.
And most people who are overweight or obese have mental disorders. So why are you prescribing something that causes or...
I mean, like a OCD personality disorder?
No, just like they
Or
have,
addiction?
have like mental illness to the point where like they're eating their
I don't
emotions.
know if that's true.
Gluttony is kind of like an emotional disorder.
I think addiction is a potential factor in obesity.
Oprah did label people who are obese as like mentally people who have like mental issues.
I didn't hear her say that, but the
Per se,
hold on.
she equated food noise with having a like she basically said food noise is like a mental disorder.
Okay, hold on.
And therefore you need Ozempic.
You choose to drink alcohol. You choose to snort cocaine. And you choose to eat food. And just because the food that you're eating is processed and engineered by food scientists to generate a bliss point in your brain, which shifts your brain, your physiology, your psychology, and your neurology into addiction mode. Many people are not aware that food companies, if you're eating fast food, processed food, prepared foods, chemically laden foods, genetically modified foods, you are putting your brain and your body at risk for being in addiction mode. And in that case, I would say that if you find yourself morbidly obese and you're only eating processed foods, chances are you've become an addict unknowingly. And that is a huge problem here. And then you're taking Ozempic, which now causes another mental condition. But I don't think I can say that gluttony is a mental condition. I wouldn't say that might be an experience someone has, but that's also part of addiction.
It wasn't for me, and it wasn't for a lot of these people. And I've had the opportunity to conversate with people from all different walks of life who have dealt with this. Who I have been in these last couple weeks has probably been the scariest time of my life. And I have told you guys all the things that I have been through. And this is the one thing where I have felt like I couldn't deal. And it's hard because I have to put on my face and I have to go and I have to be normal and do the commitments that I committed to doing. I was recently away from home, and this past Monday was the worst day, and I was in a hotel room and I was 17 floors up. And I would never do this, but I was standing there and I was like, do you know how like this could just be done? Like this, you wouldn't have to feel this way. And it's been hard to have to admit to people. And it's been hard to have to admit to the people who are like, oh, but just keep on. I'm like, I don't think you understand. This is life or death for me. Because if I have to exist feeling the way that I'm feeling right now, I don't think I could exist. So I've been drastically pulling down my dose. I'm down to 0.3, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not going to take another shot. When you Google this medication, they talk about a lot of symptoms. They even talk about some extreme ones, like getting really bad pancreatitis or getting really bad gallbladder issues, or everyone's going to, live differently with it. But for me, it's not worth it, because these numbers of people who are dealing with the mental health aspects of it are growing and growing, and nobody is really talking about it. And I want to reiterate by saying, mentally, I am a very strong person. I'll have a little generalized anxiety, but honestly, who doesn't in the world? But I've always been a very confident person, and I know if I'm feeling a certain way, I know how to make myself feel better, and I know how to pull myself out of it. But in this past week, I will be honest with you, and I am so truthful when I say that Ozempic almost took my life.
Like literally enough said. It almost took her life.
If anyone understands firsthand the desperation of obesity and compulsive eating disorders, it's me. I grew up in an eating disordered household. My mother was in Overeaters Anonymous, and she was a Weight Watchers lecturer, and she gained and lost hundreds of pounds. And all of the health-related effects of that and the mental effects of that. I understand firsthand what it's like. And I don't think that being obese is a great mental state to be in. But I don't know that it's worth taking a drug that actually is leading to show evidence that it's causing suicidal ideations. And I think that the idea of Ozempic, that an injection can solve your problem, is part of the faulty narrative that we're dealing with this drug and the craze right now. And stepping over the real problem of why the weight got put on in the first place and rehabilitating your hunger cues, your gut microbiome, your taste buds, and just getting you back to health, that's not going to be through Ozempic. That's going to be through you looking at yourself honestly in the mirror like we did. We're a mother-daughter who've lost over 200 pounds combined. And we teach women how to do that because it's possible. Your body can heal. Your mind can heal. Your gut can heal.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we will see you all the time.